Bhajahure Mana Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindari Bhajahure Mana Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindari.
Jai Parikar Shri Shri Guru Garanga Shri Shri Gandharvika Giri Hari Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, we'll continue with our reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading from Antya Lila, chapter 3, and last time we were on text 164, and we'll start from there once again. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Mahantra Apamana Ye Desha Grame Hoya Eka Janara Doshe Sabha Desha Ujadaya. Wherever an advanced devotee is insulted, for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. And we were discussing, this is the case with this Zamindar of district, his name Ramachandra Khan. He tried to defame Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, who was much loved as a devotee of Krishna, respected and regarded as a sadhu, as a Vaishnava, and Ramachandra Khan, envious of that, seeing the attention that Haridas Thakur was receiving from the people of his district, he became envious and jealous of Haridas Thakur. So he tried to defame him by sending a prostitute to entice him to engage in an illicit relationship with her. But instead of him being seduced by the prostitute was seduced by the spiritual potency of Sri Haridas Thakur and converted into a pure Vaishnava. Then knowing everything, Sri Nityananda Prabhu being omniscient, he came to that place, that same the house of the house of Ramachandra Khan, took a position on the Durga Mandap of this Ramachandra Khan, where worship of Durga took place. And Ramachandra Khan then insulted him, first telling him to leave, telling his associates to leave, telling him he had no place in his home for them, they should go to some cow shed, and there's lots of room in the Goshala, in the cow shed, so they can go there and meet together, and that should be their shelter, the cow shed. And Nityananda Prabhu became angry, being told to leave, he became angry. When Nityananda Prabhu heard this order from the servant of Ramachandra Khan, he became very angry and came out. Laughing very loudly, he spoke as follows. Ramachandra Khan has spoken rightly. This place is unfit for me. It is fit for cow-killing meat-eaters. Then, no sooner had he said that and left, and Ramachandra Khan, to purify the place from the presence of Lord Nityananda, dug up the earth, replaced it, used to purify the Durga Mandapa temple and the courtyard. Ramachandra Khan sprinkled and smeared it with water mixed with cow dung, but still his mind wasn't satisfied. He thought, oh, still, it's not clean enough. Well, this is very offensive behavior toward Lord Nityananda Prabhu and his associates, and of course his behavior with Srila Haridas Thakur was also extremely offensive. So next, Ramachandra Khan had some questionable business practices, and he hid his income, or in some way avoided paying income tax that he was supposed to pay to the government. Therefore, the government minister of finance was angry and came to his residence. And the Mohammedan minister made his residence in the Durga Mandap of Ramachandra Khan, the same place that he had just purified with water mixed with cow dung and so forth. He killed a cow and cooked the meat at that very place. He arrested Ramachandra Khan along with his wife and sons. And then he continuously plundered the house and village for 3 days. In that very room, he cooked the flesh of a cow for 3 consecutive days. Then the next day he left, accompanied by his followers. The Mohammedan minister took away Ramachandra Khan's position, wealth, and followers. For many days the village remained deserted. Whenever an advanced devotee is insulted, for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. So I was explaining that ignorance is no excuse. Ignorance may be taken into consideration if you're part of a group whose leaders are engaged in some offensive activity. Then you, even if you're ignorant of that, you may still share in the results of that offense. So I was pointing out that Srila Sridhar Maharaj, when he was, after the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the 2 camps developed within the Gaudiya Math, and one headed by, at that time, was known as Kunja Babu, later known as Sripad Tirtha Maharaj. That was one camp, and the other camp, and about Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in describing this, says that I think something like 3/4 of the GBC, so, 3/4. A GBC was formed. Srila Saraswati Thakur said it should have 12 members. But someone who had proven himself unworthy, someone who could not really catch the advice and instructions of Saraswati Thakur, and who greatly displeased Srila Saraswati Thakur just prior to his disappearance. He made such a spectacle, pleading that his godbrothers accept him and forgive his rude behavior with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was accepted as the 13th member. And Srila Swami Maharaj says that Bhaktisiddhanta ordered 12 members of this governing body. He said, but mysteriously it became 13. It wasn't so mysterious. They decided, we know better. We will do differently. We will add, this person needs to be a member. So apparently they had, anyway, so they added a 13th person. First deviation marked by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. This was a departure from the instructions of their guru. Their guru, Saraswati Thakur, said a governing body commission or a governing body should be formed of 12 persons. They knew that. They formed a governing body of 12 persons, and then another one came crying to them, oh, please include me, please include me, please include me, I'm sorry for everything, etc., etc. Then they agreed, okay, we include you. And most of them later must have regretted it, because then by including him, he joined he became one of 5 that joined the party of Tirtha Maharaj, Kunja Babu. Then there were 8 on the other side, and they came to support Ananta Vasudeva. And both these persons, Ananta Vasudeva and Kunja Babu, had received recognition from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in different ways. It's not surprising that these men were chosen as leaders of these 2 groups. And there were the property was supposed to be entrusted to a trust board of 3 persons. This was the legal arrangement. As I recall, 2 of those persons supported Tirtha Maharaj, and 1 Ananta Vasudeva. So, in terms of the settlement of the property, Tirtha Maharaj had the advantage, because he had the support of 1 of the other 2 trustees. Tirtha Maharaj, I believe, was one of the trustees, and there were 2 others. Then, so these trustees were also members of the governing body. The governing body divided. They couldn't. Of course, what a governing body is supposed to do is rule by majority opinion, or something like that, 3/4 opinion, some standard. So they formed a governing body, but it was 13 and not 12. But the differences were so great that it split. And it split with the 13th member joining the Kunja Babu party. So instead of having support of a total of 4, 5 decided they would work with Kunja Babu, who Srila Saraswati Thakur said that he should be manager for life. he was so much appreciated by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for his management skills that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that a governing body shall be formed and the general secretary shall be Kunja Babu and he shall be so for life. So, very weighty decision in favor of Kunja Babu as manager of the mission. But Srila Saraswati Thakur also gave some indication about some other members. One of them was Ananta Vasudev. And I don't remember all the details, but roughly, I think there was a devotee named Sundarananda and Nishikanta Sanyal, and Saraswati Thakur named these three and said Ananta Vasudev should work with these other two, Sundarananda and Nishikanta Sanyal. And they should preach the precepts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said that as he saw, Ananta Vasudev was the one highly qualified to represent the Rupanuga conception, the conception of Sri Rupa. He was a good person to select because of his grasp of Siddhanta, his understanding of the conclusion of the scriptures, which he demonstrated to the satisfaction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and many of the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The Ananta Vasudev, he is able to describe very nicely and very elaborately the meanings of the scriptures and finding new meanings, giving new insight, new light into the meaning of the scriptures. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj saw this and thought that he was the natural one to succeed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as Acharya. So a group selected, appointed, they thought we need an Acharya for the mission. The fittest person is Ananta Vasudev, but he was not only selected by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was chosen by this majority, these 8 governing body and others that also came to support them. And they all stood behind and supported, especially Nishikanta Sanyal, Professor Nishikanta Sanyal. His full support was with Ananta Vasudev, and he was also a very nice Vaishnava. Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained that he was a very moral man. He had a good understanding of the scriptures. He was highly intelligent. He was very qualified and a gentleman. Srila Sridhar Maharaj portrayed him as someone who had no disqualification in his character whatsoever, a man of high character, high principles. And he supported Ananta Vasudev. So also other noted sannyasis, Keshava Maharaj, Bharati Maharaj, Madhav Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, I believe. Anyway, there were a number. Jajavar Maharaj, a number of disciples, sannyasi disciples, respected disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Still, Govinda Maharaj says that explained that first they wanted Srila Sridhar Maharaj to be the Acharya, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj did not want that position. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj suggested Ananta Vasudev, and Govinda Maharaj said, so Sridhar Maharaj was not the deciding factor in Ananta Vasudev's selection, but But in other words, there were many who supported Ananta Vasudeva. But still, if Srila Sridhar Maharaj did not support him, then it would have been more difficult for Ananta Vasudeva to have been the choice. A recognition was given that, oh, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he agrees with us, so it must be a good choice. So he was selected. He established himself with these persons at Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Mat, the mat that was most, whose rooms were most sought after by the sannyasis and brahmacharis, residents of that mat. And noting this, even Srila Saraswati Thakur said before his disappearance that there is a fire in the mat, seeing the discord among his disciples, who seem to be giving more attention to which room they will get in the new building in this Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Mat, giving more attention to that than the important matters that should occupy the minds of renunciates, brahmacharis and sannyasis. So Saraswati Thakur was greatly unhappy to see this, and he was so exasperated, he said, better that we sell the bricks of the building. If I can sell one brick, that will bring unlimited wealth, and we can use that in the service of Mahaprabhu. So he thought the building, the Gaudiya Mat, Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Mat, had fallen, the residents had fallen into dysfunction, and that therefore, the building interest in the asset, the building, was part of the reason for that. Well, then sell the building. We can use it to print books. Better to print books. So then, and Kunja Babu, his smaller group, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj describes the nature of Ananta Vasudeva as more severe, in other words, more difficult to work with. So some decided to work with Kunja Babu because he was easier to work with. And he was not so strict, not so severe with them. But because they saw some principle involved, most of the sannyasis, the majority, decided to work under the direction of Ananta Vasudeva because they thought he had better grasp of the spiritual ideal. And they were willing to accept his more severe treatment in order to favor his spiritual ideal. So they worked with him. But Saraswati Thakur disappeared on the cusp of 1937, December 31st, 1936. Disappeared right at that time. By 1939 or so, by 1939 actually, the two parties, that of Kunja Babu and Tirtha Maharaj, were still quarreling over who would get right to the property, who would control the mats established by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But some flaw was detected in the character of Ananta Vasudeva. And we mentioned this before, that a love letter was found Ananta Vasudeva had written to some woman then the question came, but some could not believe, no, it's not possible that this could happen with our Acharya. Such thing is not possible. We know him, this and that, whatever. Natural thing, he was selected for his qualification, then who will think that he is not qualified? Not an easy thing to accept, that actually he is not qualified. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj recognized the signature on the letter as being that of Ananta Vasudeva. And Ananta Vasudev's close friend, Sanyal, Nishikanta Sanyal, called for a meeting of the important members, I think primarily the sannyasis of the mission at that time, again headquartered in Bagh Bazar, Gaudiya Math. And gathered in a room, he told them that I have this paper here, and if anyone signs this paper attesting to the fact that this signature on that letter is the signature of Prabhu Ananta Vasudeva, then anyone who bears witness to that, I will see that he is imprisoned. I will put him in jail, in prison. So a heavy consequence. It's one thing to have a meeting and say, does anyone here agree, or how many agree that this is the signature of our Acharya, Ananta Vasudeva, on this love letter? And that's difficult enough to raise your hand in agreement with that. But Nishikanta Sanyal said, if anyone raises their hand to say that this is his signature, then I will imprison them. I will see that they are put in jail. And because he was an influential man, it was not unreasonable to think that he had the power to do it. It was a substantial threat. So risking that, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, give me your pen, I will sign it. He was sure, he knew the signature of Ananta Vasudeva. He was sure that was his signature. He was threatened. Don't sign it. Even if you think it is, don't say it. I'll put you in jail. That's society consciousness. Society consciousness is, there is some flaw with the Acharya, let's cover it up. Let's not expose it to the public. The way we do that, we have a meeting of those important persons, and in the meeting, the supporters of Ananta Vasudeva threaten them that if any of you go along with this, admit that that our Acharya is flawed, then we will see that you are put in jail. That's how we will stop you. They were not interested whether the flaw was there or not. They only wanted to make sure that no one would talk about it. And unfortunately in our society a similar thing has happened. And the way instead of, some may be are threatened with jail. But the main threat is, if you admit that an Acharya has a flaw, then that is Vaishnava aparad. It's worse than jail. To be accused of, to commit Vaishnava aparad means destroy Hatimata, mad elephant offense, destroy the creeper of devotion that has come by the grace of Sri Guru. So to offend a real Vaishnava, to really offend a real Vaishnava, is very dangerous business. And so we were reading Ramachandra Khan. He thought, oh, this is an ordinary person. If I make offense, what's the problem? I'll trick him. I'll lie about him. I'll seduce him into something, showing some immorality, and then defame him. But we see that that has heavy consequences. When that is a real offense. That is an offense. What is a real offense? And what is not? What is just talk about offense? Real offense is what we are reading about here. Ramachandra Khan's offense to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra's offense to Nityananda Prabhu, Ramachandra Khan's offense to the followers of Nityananda Prabhu. That is real offense. His treatment of them. Real Vaishnavas, real Nityananda Prabhu, real Namacharya. If you offend them, then you may get the result that came to Ramachandra Khan. The higher the position of the Vaishnava, obviously the greater reaction that will come if you offend him. So, I recall months ago, last March or so, suddenly on the Navadvip Mat website, suddenly articles are appearing about Apichet Sudaracharo, Bhajate Mam, and Anya Bhak. Don't think that the Acharya, they're not saying the word, but it's clear why they're doing this. Don't think that the Acharya can be fallen. That is it. If you do that, you will make an offense. If you see that he is showing the characteristics of a fallen sannyasi or something like that, that will be an offense, and your progress will not continue. You will be hampered in your progress. You should not see that. Rather, you should see nothing is wrong. I see nothing here to see. Nothing wrong. Everything is going very nicely. Because the idea being that the Acharya in question is an exalted Vaishnava, therefore there can be no offense. Or rather, therefore, the slightest question of that may be taken as offense. So on that basis, I was called an offender. Because I had the audacity to note a much more minor thing, that this Acharya, along with his supporters, the International Acharya Board, are behaving like a group of silly, foolish people. That's what they were. Rather mild way of explaining what was really the situation, which is that they were deviating from the order of Srila Govinda Maharaj, our Guru. So I took a modest position. When I see their behavior, what they are doing, I'm reminded of clowns. And I don't want to be associated with a group of clowns. I did not join this mission for that purpose. Who did? So when I see, here is the behavior, it doesn't matter whether they're so-called minor devotees or major devotees. If the behavior is the thing to note, and the behavior was like that of clowns. Because they so misrepresented the teachings of our gurus, our acharyas, so far away from it that it's to only one conclusion: this is ridiculous. So anyway, that occurred, and I was then branded by those persons as offender. And I think the reason for that is because I raised numbers of questions which they could not answer. Questions. I made statements which they could not respond to. You are deviating from the order of Srila Govinda Maharaj. And they had no response. Their response was, oh, let's say that Giri Maharaj is an offender, then no one will listen to him. Well, you don't have to listen to me. All you have to do is read Gurudev's will. And all you have to do is be familiar with the teachings of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Swami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Govinda Maharaj. You're a little familiar with these things, then you'll know what I'm telling right now, what I'm saying, is what they say. So I'm not manufacturing or concocting something new here. I'm only explaining what has already been said, what has already been done previously, what is the reaction of the great devotees to these events. That's why we're reading about them in Chaitanya Charitamrita. To learn, this is wrong behavior, don't follow it. If you do, then you'll become implicated. If you are not doing it yourself, but you associate with those who are engaged in offensive behavior, then you become implicated. And you have to suffer the results along with them. Maybe not to such a great degree. Leaders, those who are directly involved, they will have to pay a higher price. And I wrote something at the time about this. I said, because one of the quotations being used was, Govinda Maharaj said we should not be drain inspectors. We should not look for the faults of others. That should not be our primary interest. That will not be beneficial, good for us, of course. I did not join to be a drain inspector, to look for the faults of others. And my response was, but if someone says that the toilet is overflowing, then should you tell someone? Turn off the water? Unclog it? Or just say, oh, I'm not going to be involved with that. I'm going to remain clean. Well, you have to take some action. I think the answer is, it's a rhetorical question. So when fault, like the fault of Ananta Vasudeva, a love letter is discovered. I'm sure that it was first reaction is keep it quiet, keep it secret, don't let anyone know. But these things always have a way of coming out, and everyone eventually does know, or at least a number of people become to know, and then it's talked about, then more people know, and more and more and more. So no doubt it was common knowledge in this Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Mat that this relationship existed between the Acharya and some woman. So then cover it up. Don't talk about it. Keep the society together. Keep the unity of the mission together. That's all important. The highest consideration that we have to think about is the unity of the mission. We want to keep all the workers here. We don't want any of the work. We don't want to lose any of the workers. That they're all needed. Why? Because ostensibly for the high purpose of preaching and distributing Krishna consciousness. But that is all done under the guidance of the Acharya, Anacharya. So if the Acharya is faulty, then how bringing people to him, bringing money to him, preaching on his behalf, are you going to get the result of preaching Krishna consciousness, spreading Krishna consciousness, giving shelter to those who seek shelter of a Acharya, a real Acharya? You bring such persons to a faulty Acharya, then do they get what you want them to have? No, they cannot get that. Acharya must be spotless, must be a pure representative of Krishna. So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, "Give me the pen. I will sign it. I will sign a affidavit saying that the signature on the love letter is that of the Acharya of this mission, who, as I have pointed out, could be rightly referred to, or certainly was thought of, as the successor Acharya to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That's who Srila Sridhar Maharaj led the revolt against, in the words of Srila Govinda Maharaj. It was a revolt, one type of revolt. Was it necessary? Srila Sridhar Maharaj could have thought, I'll just keep quiet. Yes. Cover it, let it be covered up. Let it, if those who don't know, don't need to know. Maybe it will go away. Maybe the relationship is about to come to an end. Or not, if the Acharya knows that we know about it, then he'll correct himself. He could have taken that position, but he didn't take that position. He took a position, what we are now calling proactive position. Give me the pen, I will sign it. And he said it in front of so many senior persons, respected persons, who then themselves understood, yes, this program is finished. This Acharya, we cannot support him. So then what happened? Then, when the news became known that the cat is out of the bag, the devotees now know that Ananta Vasudeva has a flaw, a serious flaw, which Srila Govinda Maharaj said, not so much a flaw, not so big a fault for Vaishnava, but is very big fault, or it is fault for one Acharya. So for Vaishnava, it's not such a big fault. But Acharya is showing a very different position than Vaishnava, very different than the so-called ordinary Nirupati Vaishnava. His position demands respect, and his position demands that he be flawless in his character. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, To his friends, the friends of Ananta Vasudeva, in particular, Professor Nishikanta Sanyal, I know that you have much love for Ananta Vasudeva. You will not leave him. A suggestion was made that Srila Sridhar Maharaj could replace Ananta Vasudeva as the Acharya. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, I would not accept that position. If I do that, then it will look like I am saying these things in order to get his position. No, he said he would not do that. And he told Nishikanta Sanyal that you will go to hell. If Ananta Vasudeva goes to hell, you will go with him. I know that. That was how much, how deep was the friendship between Sanyal and Ananta Vasudeva. What may not be so well known is that was that there was a very close friendship and love and affection by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, also for Ananta Vasudeva. And nevertheless, Srila Sridhar Maharaj led the revolt. Give me the pen, I will sign the paper. This is the signature of Ananta Vasudeva. Yes, it's true. This relationship is true. What is happening between him and this woman. Such an Acharya cannot be supported. We should not take men and money to an Acharya with this fault. It is cheating. You go and you collect money and you give it to someone who is a cheater. How can you do that? You're taking people's energy. You want to give it to someone who is using it for the thing that you're collecting it for, which is the service of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Guru. And certainly if you bring new people from your preaching, you're preaching and you find, someone is interested, more and more interested. Now he has examined everything and he wants to take initiation. Who do I recommend him to? You don't want to recommend him to a cheater. You don't want to recommend him to someone you know is unqualified. If you do recommend, then you are a cheater also. It is not required of us to sell our conscience to the society, for the benefit of the society. Just the opposite. Our advisors, our gurus, our acharyas have always told us the opposite. Follow your conscience, which is leading you to God. Don't follow the conscience that keeps you, that keeps society as the highest ideal. The organization, the society, the associates. If the associates are good, then very good, of course. Then prosper in their association. But you see, Ramachandra Khan, what happened with his associates? They were all their wealth was plundered, taken. Their village became a ghost town because of his offense. this is serious business, what we are doing. If we want to recommend someone that I think this person is a suitable guru, a suitable acharya, we should feel some confidence about that. That we're doing the right thing for everyone. I never heard any of our gurus suggest that we promote persons who are unqualified, we know to be unqualified, or that new persons should be delivered over to the hands of someone of suspicious character. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, like Keshava Maharaj and some of the others that I mentioned, they were then unceremoniously thrown out, ousted. But before that, they were treated cruelly by Ananta Vasudeva and his supporters. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj commented about that. When I saw that they were oppressing us, who I consider to be innocent persons, then I saw Guru Maharaj, meaning Saraswati Thakur, withdraw from them. You see, to promote a conspiracy, you have to suppress those who would speak out against the conspiracy. When you want to cover up wrongdoing, then you have to silence those who would speak out against the wrongdoing. You have to oppress them. That's what Srila Sridhar Maharaj observed in the behavior of Ananta Vasudeva and his supporters. Ruthlessly, they suppressed us. In other words, they behaved cruelly. And he gave some examples of the cruel treatment by these men, of those who are innocent. And Srila Maharaj said, we are not like Kunja Babu's party trying to get the assets of our guru. Srila Sridhar Maharaj and those like him were not trying to get any of the properties. It wasn't their interest. They were willing to serve someone that could be trusted and respected. And proof of that, afterwards, after going out from that mat and mission, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said that he thought, still, he didn't think himself to accept disciples. And he thought Sripad Jajavar Maharaj, that he is a suitable person, very qualified person, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj and others with him thought it would be good to have an organization for preaching, and there needs to be a head of that organization, and there needs to be an acharya of that organization. So they decided to make that person should be Sripad Jajavar Maharaj. The last sannyasi disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And so they did. And they established Shamananda Gaudiya Math. I think that was the name, Shamananda Gaudiya Math, in Midnapur district. And Jajavar Maharaj became the Acharya there. And Govinda Maharaj always spoke highly of Jajavar Maharaj. Srila Sridhar Maharaj also. Never heard any bad report about him. So that, we would have to conclude, became a successful mission. A mission headed by Srila Jajavar Maharaj. And the Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Math was failure. Why failure? Because the precepts of Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur were not preached and followed. It failed because the Acharya was a failure. Well, one could say, but the Math was established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, shouldn't we serve that Math anyway? Isn't the Math what's important, not the Acharya of the Math? Well, no. Another rhetorical question. This time the answer must be no. No, it's not the Math, it's not the building, it's not the organization, it's not the society. It's not, none of these things are very vital things. What is vital is the Acharya. So when Srila Sridhar Maharaj saw that the ISKCON GBC had deviated from the principles of their guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, then he rejected them and he rejected their society. But he acknowledged, but ISKCON is living with Swami Maharaj. So those who are with Swami Maharaj, the Acharya, they are in ISKCON. They are part of ISKCON. But those who deviate from the principles of Swami Maharaj, even if they keep the name ISKCON affixed to their forehead or their chest or their clothing or something, it doesn't mean that they are members of that exalted organization established by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who established certain principles of Krishna consciousness that were to be followed, respected, worshipped. So the Acharya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he was the embodiment of certain principles. His organization, ISKCON, was established to propagate those principles, not other principles. His principles. The principles which he received from his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's so simple. If we know that we are followers of Shiksha Guru Parampara, then it's very easy to know that we are not followers of organizations. We are followers of gurus. We are followers of acharyas. We are followers of Vaishnavas. Where the Vaishnava goes, we will follow. So some good examples here. Previously, Srila Swami Maharaj established the League of Devotees. I never heard a clamor, that we have to follow the League of Devotees. Because why? He abandoned it when it didn't serve the function for which he created it. And Swami Maharaj himself abandoned it, walked away from it. There was no concern or interest to him any longer. And he established a new organization. And he also made it clear that if that organization did not succeed in establishing, following, propagating his principles, which are non-different from the principles of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then that organization, ISKCON, can also be abandoned. Then are we to think any differently about any organization, whatever the organization may be? Organization is an entity established by a guru, by a Vaishnava, by an Acharya, by a sannyasi, to propagate the principles that are important to him. If it does not do that, then it's irrelevant. And worse, if the leaders, as the leaders did in the 1982 conversations I've been listening to of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, the leaders of ISKCON, the GBC, specifically the committee as he referred to them, they deviated from the principles of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Then how did Srila Sridhar Maharaj react to that? I do not want to see the future of this organization. It is too inauspicious. I do not want to see the future. And he didn't mind letting others know that that was his opinion. Just as I do not mind now letting others know my opinion, the organization which is being operated by this rogue element of devotees known as the International Acharya Board, who will not follow the principles of anyone, either Srila Swami Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, or Srila Govinda Maharaj. And if any of them are to be followed, certainly it is to be Govinda Maharaj, who gave all of us the positions that we have. Then he should be followed at any cost. But they immediately decided, no, we will change, we will deviate, we will go in a different direction than the one that our Gurudev gave us. Very unfortunate. This mission, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, where Srila Govinda Maharaj has named me as an Acharya, unfortunately now has the same name as that mission in India, which is following the direction of rogue elements who have deviated from the principles and even the direct instructions of Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. And someone must say it. And by default, I seem to be that someone. So it is not a pleasant thing, and I've been listening very carefully and for quite some time now, reviewing the talks of Srila Sridhar Maharaj with regards to ISKCON and the GBC, the way they departed from the instructions of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's announcement that they have departed, that they have deviated. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj's insistence that I am their friend, I am the friend of their guru. And he even went so far as to say, I shudder to think what Swami Maharaj will think of me. That he may blame, in other words, that Swami Maharaj may blame Srila Sridhar Maharaj for this problem. And he offered us a suggestion. Would it be better if I just became dumb and said nothing? Would that be better? If I become silent? So obviously he decided that was not better. Because why? Because he had experience. Because these persons who were going astray should have profited from his experience. Instead, they became offenders to him. And he said it, they are dealing with me very rudely. Very rudely. Why? And as I said some time ago, all of this is unnecessary. Very simple. Follow the Gurudev's will. It's very clear, very direct, very simple. Do this, do this, do this. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. Why don't we do it? Very simple. It can't be done because self-interest, selfish interest, other interest, not Gurudev's interest. That means illusion, because Maya, illusion, has overtaken their thinking. So even simple things they cannot understand. As I have explained, Srila Gurudev named 6 Acharyas. They decided there should be only one. How does 6 become 1? So 6 cannot be only 1. If there were 6, which there are, then there cannot be only 1. If there was to be only 1, then there could not be 6. If there are 6, there cannot be 5. But they decided, no, let's add 5 to the 1. No, the 6, we don't like that, we make 1. Then the 1 didn't work the way they wanted it, so they decided, let's add 5 more, again becomes 6. Then 6, that wasn't also suitable for them, so they tried to remove 1 from the 6, myself, make it 5. But the number 5 they didn't like either, so they again added another. Think they added another. They cannot add another, but they think they could. So they added another, again becomes 6. Gurudev was very clear. 6. 6, 6, 6. 6 acharyas, 6 zones. Very simple. But the central mat, well, guess what? The word central appears nowhere in Gurudev's will. Nowhere. Nowhere in Gurudev's will does he say that 5 acharyas should really just serve the one acharya and promote him. Nowhere does it say that. Nowhere does it say that the acharyas of the 5 missions should consider the acharya, the mission of one acharya in India to be the central mission, and everything is meant to serve that mission. No, it's not there. As I said, the word central appears nowhere. There is no central mat. The word central doesn't appear anywhere in Srila Gurudev's will, but it appears everywhere in the propaganda of this International Acharya Board and the Navadvip Mat website, which, as I have said, is the website of Srila Acharya Maharaj. It's his website. What's the problem with that? He's the Acharya. It's his website. But there we see headquarters, central mat, da-da-da-da-da, so many different things. Yeah, it's his headquarters, not the headquarters for all the devotees of Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Not necessarily. If they want it to be, then it can be, but it wasn't Gurudev's direction. Central mat does not appear anywhere in Srila Gurudev's will. Nowhere in his will does it say anywhere that to have unity, the 6 acharyas should get together, have a meeting, and decide that only one acharya will have only one acharya. No, nowhere. All complete concoction, manufactured invention of 5 men who they want us to believe something that can never be accepted, that, as Sripad Janardhan Maharaj said, we don't care what Gurudev's will says, we know what Gurudev wants. It was that very point that Srila Sridhar Maharaj rejected from the committee and pointed out that that is the very item which disqualifies them. That very item. But it wasn't enough. Then some months later, the same people who said, we know what Gurudev wants, then they said, now we give our blessings to the other named acharyas, of which they are included. Now, this is also not the behavior of Vaishnavas. We give our blessings. Because why? Because Vaishnava is not thinking he is Vaishnava. He's not thinking, I have the capacity to bless others. A disciple wants your blessings. Bless your disciple. Even there you may use some caution, as Srila Govinda Maharaj often did. May Krishna bless you. May Guru Maharaj bless you. Very reluctant to say, yes, I give you my blessings. He was very shy about that. We should also be very shy. I've written so much about this, someone asked me, so you think you know what Krishna's will is? Asking me, do I think? I've never said that. I've never said I know Krishna's will. Because I know better. I know better than to say it, and I know better than to think it. It's the first disqualification. Number one disqualification. I know what Krishna wants. Means you know nothing. That's what it means. It means you are disqualified. Here's what Gurudev wrote. What he wrote, we know that that's not what he wants. We know what he wants. Here, I guess we should think, oh, what Prabhupada wants is not what he wrote in this book. Some other thing, some other concoction that we manufacture. When Prabhupada says, as he does here, where his translation, wherever an advanced devotee is insulted for one man's fault, the entire town or place is afflicted. Well, I guess the meaning, that's not the meaning. We should think, no, that's not the meaning. There's another meaning. Is that what we're supposed to think? No, actually it means the opposite of that. It means everyone is happily situated. No one is afflicted, and there's no fault. This book, Sri Guru and His Grace, don't believe what the author says here. Ask one of the International Acharya Board members about the statements in the book, so that they can tell you, no, that's not what he means. We are, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, we are not concerned with a material connection. The mediator is not this flesh and body as we generally think. Oh, I guess if the International Acharya Board says that that's wrong, what's written here, that's not what Srila Sridhar Maharaj means. We know what he means. He means something different. That we are to think that the material connection is all important. The flesh and blood connection, that's everything. That symbols and bricks and mortar, these are the important things. Ignore what Srila Sridhar Maharaj says. It's only we can tell you what he wants, what he means. You don't know, you're too stupid. You read that, we're not concerned with the material connection. Oh, and you think that's what it means? Oh, how foolish you are. We are the International Acharya Board. We have to tell you now it doesn't mean that. It means what we say it means. There, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his book. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and precepts. He's describing the life and the precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jivas are traveling on the path of Maic existence from time immemorial, experiencing all sorts of pleasure and pain. Should we ask the International Acharya Board? Well, what is it really saying here? Is this untrue? We need you. We cannot understand for ourselves the meaning. Jivas are traveling on the path of Maic existence from time immemorial, experiencing all sorts of pleasure and pain. Oh, we are too stupid. We other disciples of Govinda Maharaj, Swami Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, we can't understand the meaning of what's written here by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You tell us what Bhaktivinoda Thakur really means. Am I so fool? That's Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say. Here. Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Upadeshamrita. Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarapasta Vegam, Etan Vegan Yo Vishaheta Dira, Sarvam Apimam Pritivim Sasishat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. No, Rupa Goswami, don't listen to what Rupa Goswami says. We know what it really means. One does not have to control the tongue, belly, and genitals in order to initiate disciples all over the world. Don't believe what you read. Believe us, because we know that that's untrue. That one does not have to control the tongue, belly, and genitals. He can be a debauchee, a womanizer, and he's still qualified to make disciples all over the world, and to prove that that's what we believe. Here is his photo on the altar of temples all over the world. Because that's what we believe. Rupa Goswami, don't believe it. No, you believe us. When such a person shows himself that he can't control the tongue, belly, and genitals, be his Ritvik. Put his photo on your altar and bring new people to him, to take initiation from him. Don't follow what Rupa Goswami says. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Don't believe it. That's what the IAB wants us to follow. Them. They know better. This is wrong. Giri Maharaj, this is what Giri Maharaj is saying, and Giri Maharaj is wrong, then this must also be wrong. Two things that are equal to each other, two things that are equal to another thing are equal to each other, right? Giri Maharaj is wrong. He says this, therefore this must be wrong. This is what we have been told. Gurudev's will is wrong. What is said in Gurudev's will, it's just some writing like this. This is just some writing. It's just some writing. Don't believe it. These books are just showpieces. Gurudev's will is just a symbol, some symbols on a page. A showpiece for lawyers and other persons. They're not for his followers. But when they want it to be for his followers, everyone should love Acharya Maharaj because it said that in Gurudev's will. Oh, then we're supposed to accept the will. Whatever parts they like, then accept, and what they reject, then we're supposed to reject. So, who is qualified to initiate? Who can make disciples? Etan vegan yo vishaheta dira. Dira means sober. Sudira means very sober. Sober persons do not take intoxication, right? Then they wouldn't be sober. Sober persons are not under the influence of illusion. Then they would not be sober. You're a sober person, not an intoxicated person, not a drunken person, someone who can't control his mind, whose mind is not under control. A sober person.